Good morning. It is Friday, the 9th of August, just after 10 UTC. Going to go through some market update stuff here. And wow, yeah, massive continuation of that upside move as expected. Short squeeze continues. Realistically now, this is where I am starting to look for a little bit of downside, especially if we get a retest back at around 62.3. Something like that would be beautiful as like a little swing failure from the high to have some losses. I think it's overdue for a little bit of correction back down, just based off of the localized liquidity. We've tagged into some pretty heavy stuff, and there's not a whole lot really holding us up. Conversely, we have a shit ton of selling orders coming in place right now to hold price, but we'll go through everything. In any case, the local stuff is very simple. You're looking for a little bit of retracement back to the downside. I would say targets would definitely be somewhere around 58K, potentially all the way back into the really heavy stuff to give us that ton of double bottom test. But we still technically have upside continuation. If we do start clearing 59.5 like this low here, then it's definitely priority down. But I am looking for some swing failure back to the downside to hedge off some of the longs that we've got from the lows. So in any case, it still looks strong. It still looks good, and the long-short ratio is still coming down. We're seeing a little switch now as people are starting to try and long this stuff, which just means, well, we're probably overdue for a little bit of correction. In any case, looking over at the long-short ratios, I got on the 1 hour time frame. Like I said, from yesterday, from previous in the week, we came down from about almost 3-to-1 long to shorts, like 74, 73 to 33 or to 27, something like that. Like really long short ratios coming down. Earlier in the evening, actually, like late last night, we actually started to see 50-50, so 1-to-1. So it's really crazy stuff, to be honest. That being said, in the lower time frames, we're seeing a lot of people smashing the short button. Like, so taker shorts are huge. People just hitting the red button. So we'll see if we get that little pop up and swing fail, or if we just fail it off a little cliff now. But this is overall, like, it's bullish, right? So we're seeing people shorting, retail shorting into the upside, which is typical, right? Until there's an actual break of structure. So until that really happens, like shorts are a little bit sketchy, but at the same time, I'm kind of expecting some type of pullback as we're seeing a little bit of increases in longs overall, but the taker volume still being like massively to the short side. In any case, looking over at trading light to see some of the resting orders, yeah, we're at a gigantic sell pressure block here. So we'll see what happens with this, but you're talking like couple, like tens of thousands, not tens of thousands, sorry, maybe 10, 11, 12,000 Bitcoin in shorts. And this is just the perpetual side. So this isn't even just counting spot. So there's quite a bit of sell pressure up here. We've done a couple things, like we've cleared the CME gap. We've really retested highs and structures that we failed at before. So we'll see here if we start to get some failures to go back to the downside. Looking at the localized TPO, yeah, we could be seeing a pop back up, but there's a local, like really low time frame regain of like 61.1 that could potentially give us a move back up to retest the high structure here at 62.2. That's kind of where I'm expecting us to potentially have some breakdown. And if we gain back above this level, like this 61K, 61.1, if we gain back above it and then fail to make new highs on the highs, I'm expecting breaking this TPO again would force us to come back to 60K, or excuse me, 59.5, and then all the way back down to like 57 potentially. We'll see if that actually plays out. Looking over at the footprint for the localized orders and whatnot, massive bullish volume deltas. We were seeing it even yesterday. Was enough to squeeze us into the upside. Quite a bit of people would be out of position here. Like we have 13,000 in the delta overdue. And the real big one here is right at where price is currently. So if we start putting this underwater, it looks like we're going to have a pretty decent flush back to the long liquidity. And realistically, given the fact that all of this bullish volume is mostly, like, especially from yesterday, early morning yesterday, all of this bullish volume still in play. I would expect that if we do have some bigger breakdowns and some retracements, that we start clearing all of this stuff back down to lows, potentially even down to 55K. But again, I'm not overly bearish because we're still trending to the upside. We've just got quite a bit of localized failures. Not really looking to short this unless we get a really clear failure at the high stuff at like 62.2, or if there's a localized failure around 59.5, 60K. So going into the trade plan here for Trading View, we kind of explain these a little bit to make them clear. The localized gain gets us back up to the highs. I'm actually probably not even that high, something like that. You know, it's really localized regain, and then something that comes back down, fails, and goes lower. I think this is like the ideal situation if we do have that. Any regains of like where we are now, basically above the old May level, regaining March. If we don't clear this high, even on the 1 hour, then it's likely we're going to see that kind of double top failure back to the downside, which should actually be a pretty decent short, in all honesty, back into some lows. But again, the gain that matters, gain the local high, gain July Q3, you're going straight to 64.5K. And that's still the priority, right? That's still definitely the priority. This is basically is like if we have the push back up and fail, or losing the local lows at May at 60.6, that localized swing fail should break us back to, 59.5, and then potentially back to the weekly open at 58K. Overall, this move has been wildly strong and good. We're gaining back really high time frame levels that are extremely powerful, I would argue, in this place. So overall, very bullish. And realistically, the priority is still technically up, just some local lower time frame kind of failures at March. Yeah, we'll see if we get that. Like I said, I am looking for a short if we test 62K, 62.2, something like that, and then fail, and then especially if we secondarily break 60.6, very likely we go back to the downside for some retracement. But overall, in the higher time frame, this thing is absolutely incredible. If I look at daily time frame here, I mean, this is great. We've retested July Q3. We're back above May. We're back above very, very strong levels. And if you look at the weekly, like if that isn't a giga regain weekly structure, I don't know what is. So this is looking really strong, really good. Let's watch Sunday. As long as the Sunday doesn't close back below 55, I'd say we're good for upside. Because if we close under that, yeah, it's done. It's going to 42K, right? So it still looks strong. It's a very strong weekly regain, and I think priority is definitely the upside. The higher time frame play, very simply, is if we have a breakdown here, like the localized breakdowns that break us back into like the low structure, that needs to hold. It doesn't matter if we do it this by the weekend or early next week. If we hold any higher low here, you're probably looking at like the localized bottom. But yeah, just in general, overdue for a little bit of like correction. I'm not going to bet against it until we have some more clean breaks of the structure. And looking at it here from this time frame, we could easily just gain and go. Any failures to make new highs here, any failures to make a July Q3 gain, likely means we have to have some more downside. Targeting levels, definitely 59.5, 58K, 56.9 in this structure. So overall positive. Just look for that little break and retracement on. Hopefully we're invalidated. Longs are still 100% valid as we gain back major levels. So that's that. Take it easy. Catch you on Monday. Peace out.